Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining on time. For those with a stable internet connection, please switch on your videos as well and already go to menti.com with the code 69103621. So welcome, everyone. While we're waiting for the others to join, please make sure to already join our Menti to menti.com 69103621. It's always also in the chat. All right, we give the others 2 more minutes. Grab your tea or coffee, and then we kick off in 2 minutes time. So for those who have just joined, please also make sure to join our Menti as usual. All right, good. Thanks everyone for joining. Let's kick off with our masterclass of today. Today is really about pitching and the art of pitching. Most of you have, or all of you have somehow encountered it already. The type of application even for this was already included a pitch deck. And today we want to fine tune a little bit and go deep on this topic. Practice a little bit, and of course also let you know what are the requirements for the upcoming pitch and the pitch competition for us to decide who actually goes to the accelerator in the next phase of the program. And with this, let's go to the next slide. We are already in the last week where we have content. So we have today our master the art of pitching, and then on Friday the ESG masterclass with our partners from EY, who really give some details into that on impact measuring, but also impact reporting, and how does that also really benefit you and your business in making a compelling story. And then the following week, on Monday and Tuesday, we have our pitching competition. So all of you will need to pitch. And then our final bootcamp event, where you will get to know who makes it to the next round, will be on the 28th. So make sure that you have saved those dates and that you will be able to join. And with this, today, I want you to open up page 75. We're nearly at the end of our workbook. So you can reflect on it, use the resources, and also, take some notes. Now, our check-in question for today is just to get a little bit of feeling on what is your mood towards pitching? What's the first word that comes to mind when you hear pitching? Storytelling. I like that because we also already focused that on that in the previous classes, also with Elliot. Nerves. I like these honest answers too. So really put them up also. Of course, it's also nerve-wracking to portray yourself, depending, is it virtual, it's an in-person, that also varies, right, on how do you pitch. But of course, it has a lot to do with funding, competition, also convincing. Yes, of course, you always want to pitch to either get something in return, a bit of anxiety. Now, people are more and more putting nerves and storytelling, so that's nice. For those who just joined, like the Mentimeter, you can already always see on the top, it's menti.com, and then use the code. So you don't necessarily need the link, but we can share the link, but it's not necessary. And let's see else, persuasion, competition, storytelling. Perfect. So let's see. I think it's also a lot of practice, right? To calm our nerves and to be more straightforward. Thanks for your insights. Let's go to the next. And there it is about confidence. So some people, you said you're nervous about pitching, but we want to see how confident do you feel? Are you somewhat confident, quite confident, super confident, and ready to pitch, or still a bit unsure, not confident at all? Let us know. And we can already see the middle is always your favorite, somewhat confident, super confident, and ready to pitch. Those two, I'm really looking forward to your pitches. Awesome. So even those ones who are saying a bit unsure or not confident at all, that's why we also have today's masterclass to refresh a little bit the memory on what are the best practices, what should we do, but also to give you a little bit of space to practice. And so that you have also now sufficient time from today until next week. You should really also use the weekend or your times with your regional spotlights to get as much feedback as possible, right? Pitching is a lot of practice, and getting, especially when you're under time pressure, you need to get it down to the seconds correctly. And so it's about a lot about rehearsals and listening of others' feedback so you can integrate that. All right, then let's kick off. And I give the floor to Deborah. Over to you.
Hi, everyone. So welcome to today's masterclass on mastering the art of pitching. So to start off the masterclass today, we're going to be focusing on when. We're going to go through the what, the when, the how, the who. Today for today's masterclass. So today we're focusing on the when. So when do you pitch? There are 4 instances where you can focus the way you have to pitch. First of all, you can pitch, it can be spontaneous. A lot of the time, this type of pitching is called an elevator pitch. This happens at very random moments, whether at networking events or whether you just bump into somebody per chance. Then you also have the opportunity to pitch at a conference, or let's, for example, say at accelerator programs like YACO, where you're given the opportunity to pitch before a jury, and then you have the opportunity to say what you have to say about your business. Then there's also in front of investors. So previously we had the session on insights into access to finance where we invited a few investors. So here you would also usually you can also get the chance to pitch in front of investors as well, and then at partner meetings. Now you have to understand that when we're talking about when to pitch, I mentioned 4 different scenarios, and these 4 different scenarios also come with 4 different types of audiences, which we'll get into more detail as well. But moving on, there are different types of pitches that you need to take into consideration. And there are 3 main ones we're going to focus on today. The first one is the elevator pitch, the conference deck pitch deck, and also a full investor pitch. So if you are going to make the most, if you're going to get any funding, or if you're going to really, really scale up your business, you have to get your pitching right. Not only does your design matter, but also the way you sell yourself during a pitch really, really matters a lot. So you have to also understand that you need to, before you even start pitching to anybody, you have to have taken your time to really learn your audience. Who you're pitching to matters a lot when it comes to pitching. So for example, we have today the different types of elevator pitches, and you can't just create a one size fits all pitch deck and think that that works well for everybody. You really have to curate your pitch to fit to the audience that you're speaking to. So today, for example, you have the elevator pitch. Now, an elevator pitch is a short pitch. It's nothing more than, usually it's 1 minute long, but here we have 1 to 2 minutes. It's usually used to generate interest very, very quickly. And this is usually used when you're going through like a trade fair, networking, or just have a chance encounter, like I mentioned earlier. So in this type of pitch, on this pitch deck, you want to focus on the main information. You want to get your problem, your solution, traction, the numbers that you've been getting, and also the essentials. So this is just focusing on the basic essentials. What do you want the person who you're speaking to get away from, to remember about your business? Is it that you want them to know that you're already in the market? Do you want them to know that you've already acquired a prototype? What is the important information that you want them to remember from your pitch deck? Then you have the conference pitch deck. Now, this type of pitch deck, as the name suggests, is usually a bit longer than an elevator pitch deck, and you get the opportunity to pitch for between 3 to 5 minutes. And so this kind of pitch deck can be used during competitions, if you have a short appointment with somebody, or just like for things like that as well. So this type of pitch deck really focuses on the problem. You have a lot more time to go into more detail. So you can focus on your problem, you can focus on your solution, you can focus on how how your solution, how your unique selling point. And then you can also focus on traction, as well as your investor ask, what are you looking for as well. So this is your pitch should also be used to capture the audience. You shouldn't have a lot of visuals on your pitch deck. You should really focus on really trying to connect with your audience. I believe that that's one important aspect when it comes to pitching that you should remember all around, is really trying to connect with your audience. Then and for this type of pitch decks, so for these conference pitch decks, they're very strict on timing. So for our session, for example, for the pitching that's happening next week, you have 3 minutes to pitch. 3 minutes is 3 minutes. You don't get 4 minutes, you don't get 5 minutes. It's 3 minutes. So you really have to stick to time. So one thing that makes a lot of entrepreneurs stand out, that is very different, is, can they stick to time? Because if you're able to stick to time and you're able to get all the information that you need within the time constraint, then it means that you have taken the time to curate your pitch deck into such a way that is easy for the audience to understand, right? Then you also have a full investor pitch deck. So, like I said earlier, you need to remember who you're pitching to, your crowd. When you're speaking to an investor, you need to know that they're looking at numbers. They're interested in finding out more about the numbers. They want to know more about your traction, about what exactly you've been doing. So you're For your investor pitch, you would be focusing on things for example, you'd be focusing on your value proposition, your market size, your traction, your product roadmap, your team, your finances, your forecast. So for this type of pitch, you would have more slides, between 15 to 24 slides thereabout, and you would have a lot more time to go into more depth on your product or service that you are offering. Now, there's three important components to remember when it comes to pitching. You have to have an opening, a middle part, and a closing. So the idea is for you to start out with your problem. What is the problem that you're addressing? Then in the middle part, you're talking about your solution and how your unique selling point as well. And then when you're finally closing, you're closing out with what exactly do you want the audience to do for you? So if you're pitching to a jury, what do you want them to do? Do you want them to give you money? Or if it's an elevator pitch, would you like another coffee encounter? Would you like to have another appointment with them? So it's very important for you to close out with an ask. What do you want your audience to do? Now, you also have to remember that when it comes to pitching, people have very short attention spans. So you have to remember we have a TikTok brain. So you're trying to get as much information about your business. You're trying to capture the audience quickly and to help them remember who you are in a very, very short period of time. So with that being said, I'm going to pass it over to Milena to really go into more detail on how you can really create a compelling pitch and how you can, put into action storytelling. Thank you.
Thanks, Deborah. Maybe we can go quickly back to TikTok, because it's not only that it needs to be very compelling, but that we are also now these days in a TikTok society, meaning that our attention span is actually reducing. Deborah, would you mind muting? Thank you. Our attention span is reducing as society. It's like scientifically proven that we are not so attentive anymore than previous generations. And the younger the people are, the lower the attention span, actually. So in that regard, it's also up to you to really create a compelling story, but also a compelling pitch in a way that is not too lengthy, because people do not listen simply anymore. And TikTok is one of the, it showcased this dimension of a reduced attention span. Also interesting to kind of like know on the scientific fact is that an average adult actually speaks around 150 words per minute, or if you otherwise say it's 2 words per second. And you need really the first 20 words for someone that you grab their attention. So what is really crucial is that you grab someone's attention right at the very beginning. You kind of have your first 20 words, so to say, to really grab someone's attention before their mind is shifting somewhere else and not really focusing. So just to recap, tell your story, be concise, and really do not clutter it with too many unimportant information. That can always come at the later stage. So there is something called the 10 to 20 to 30 framework. And it's really simple. It's like people might give you the 30 seconds of their time, but they not give you 30 seconds of their attention. So we really need to use these first seconds. You get the first impression really counts. So that basically goes down to your first 20 words need to be really good. Then if they're good, you get these additional 20 seconds that someone really listens. And that's why we also wanted to give you a little exercise for yourself on the shortest kind of like precise way of pitching your business in a way that people are, oh, this sounds interesting. I want to hear more, which you can use in like all these like elevator moments, conferences, or you're just passing by someone, which you then can reuse all the time. And the more time you have, you can even add another, like a little bit more of a hook, right, at the beginning. And we dive into that. How should your hook look like? What I want you to do now is we give you 4 minutes time and you write out that statement with your own company. So related to all of you. And then we're going to ask some volunteers to present us your short statement. So you have 4 minutes time. All right, lovely that we see already some volunteers' hands up. So let me ask the first one in the line, Biringiro. Please introduce your name correctly again and then your pitch. Over to you.
Thank you so much. My name is Viringiro Frank. I'm Director Manager of AgroFrank Company. So my residence is Rwanda. My question is, which date of pitching of your
So
company?
we have now
So,
this exercise. So I wanted to ask you, everyone, to give out your pitch. You have had time
yes.
now. All questions will be asked later. So then let me
Okay.
move on to Juan. Over to you.
Hi with everyone. Thanks for the opportunity to participate. So the statement for my company, for Miski, which is Miski means sweet in Quechua, is a local language here in Ecuador, South America. So my company, Miski Miel de Campo, is developing premium regenerative honey-based wellness products to help health-conscious consumers and eco-driven communities access natural nutrition while restoring ecosystems with a vertically integrated beekeeping model that regenerates forests, empowers rural beekeepers, and guarantees pure and processed honey.
Perfect. Big
Thank you.
applause to Juan. Maybe on that, you can even fine tune a little bit on your secret sauce, like what is the really specifics about you? You mentioned your forest, your
I can
provide
share. I
land.
typed it down.
Yes, but also like you mentioned later on vertical something.
Mhm.
So I would suggest in such scenarios where people are not familiar with your area of work, that you break it down in even simpler language. Particular people who are not from that honey making or agricultural space will not necessarily immediately know what that means, vertically integrated beekeeping model, that phrase, for example. So I would try to make it simpler, and even like the fun fact is quite nice, but you can make it very short. So you can integrate it in your statement of that Miski meal, what it means, right? That it's from the local language in Ecuador, and integrate that in your statement. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, Ramata.
Thank you, Melena. Okay, so my name is Ramata and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Kapamo Agribusiness. So I'll go straight into my pitch statement. So my company Kapamo is developing a smart secular farming and food processing model to help smallholder farmers and buyers access consistent, high quality, fresh and processed produce. We are solving the problem of low productivity and market inconsistency with our secret sauce, which is AI-powered farm management and circular systems that transform waste into value. Thank you.
Well done. Thank you. I think even it worked quite well that you integrated our secret sauce even in your statement in that regard. So that was very nice. I don't have any specific additions at this point, actually. I think it was very precise and good. All right. Maybe one more and then we move on. Chloe, do you want to go?
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so my one is EcoRestore is developing a library of indigenous microbes for biochar inoculation to help farmers, conservationists, biochar producers, and food and water insecure populations to become food, water, and economically secure with our tailored climate resilient restoration technologies.
Nice. I think very strong beginning. At the end, I felt like it got a bit very technical, right? So well done on this. It really, yeah, gave me, I wanted to hear more from it. What I would suggest, yeah, I think the last part, you tried to cramp everything in, right? Like climate adjusted technology. I think we can leave that a little bit out or make it in simpler language again. Because remember, this is really just people want to hear from you and then I want to follow up with you. What I was wondering, I'm like, oh, cool, but where? I think that might be also an interesting fact to add, because it sounded a bit more like localized, not sure, but maybe that could be an interesting fact as well.
Thank you.
Sure. All right, then just looking at the time, because we want to also give you all opportunities to meet in breakout sessions. Let's go on our masterclass and on the opening. So Deborah mentioned that we have to have 3 main parts in your pitch: the opening, the middle part, and then the call for action. On the opening, what is super essential is, and that's where a lot of people are actually relatively weak, also if you have quite a lot of experience already, is you really need to open your pitch very strong. We mentioned on the attention span earlier on, right? If you don't grab people's attention immediately in the first, 20 seconds. People don't listen to you anymore. So also be mindful on this in a virtual or like in a visual way. How do you open your pitch deck? Like, it shouldn't be a pitch deck which is already crammed with information with 9 million thousands of bullet points. It shouldn't be too complex. So people should really rather be interested. So how do you grab attention? You really need a hook. And you can grab attention through different ways. And this is also very personal, right? Like, you need to find what works for you, what works for your business, to actually start. And this is also the moment where you can really set yourself differently from all the other entrepreneurs and the crowd. You want to be very bold and you want to be standing out. And so what can you use? You can use stories. That's something we have already addressed with Elliot earlier on. How powerful stories are in multiple ways, right? In your marketing, in everything nearly. But also for pitching, it is a super powerful hook that you tell a story. So it could be a story. The best one actually is one of either your personal story, how did you actually come up with this business, but also how are the lives of your clients now being affected and changed, right? This could be also a very personal and very good story to start. Be mindful that this needs to be super short and precise, right? Another way is an analogy. So you can also use it to compare your business with another business, which is known. So I've seen, for example, examples where people are saying we're like a dating platform, but instead of people, we date companies. Or instead of people, so you can say, I'm like Hinge or whatever, but for this and this, for seedlings, maybe. So just you can also make an analogy to compare your company with existing ones, which everyone knows. Or you can use a metaphor, right? That can be also very strong. And in your opening, you can also be funny. Like, you can engage with the audience. You can make them laugh if that's one of your strengths, right? So be very mindful and be very focused on this first part. It's really about making someone listen to you. And how do you do that? By creating a human-to-human connection. And so you want to somehow remind them of something, make the personal story or connection to it. Next, please. So I'm going to go very briefly because we already touched upon this with Elliot. But storytelling, once again, is super important in various cases. So you can have storytelling as an exercise for your brand building, but also in your marketing and your advertising, but also on how to attract talent, how you handle crisis, how do you create a whole community, but also really in your fundraising effort, right? So you want to focus on your community impact, right? This could be also really a good hook for yourself. How has this life been changed because of my intervention? And I would like to go back to this storytelling exercise Elliot mentioned, this template. So start really to integrate all of your ideas you're having in the storytelling template, so that when you need a new story, you can just go back to this database of your own stories and pick them, right? Deborah also mentioned it depends on the scenario you are. So I see also Surab, sorry, I'm not sure if I pronounce your name correctly, but Surab has here, he's just at COP. So COP might be, a different scenario because everyone is already aware of climate change, sustainability. But let's imagine you're going to a tech conference. The type of audience can be different. So maybe you also need a different type of angle, hook, and story. So keep that in mind. Next. Just briefly speaking on storytelling for fundraising, what we always adjust or advise is go on 3 different levels on what is your purpose, what is your vision you are trying to achieve with your company, what is your strategy, what is your priorities in your business, and how do you plan to execute that, so that you go high from the vision, mission, to what are the priorities, to how do you do that. So start from these levels. Next. So if we're gonna deep dive into it, so the why, right? Here you want to have a purpose. You want to create an overarching vision or mission. Why did you actually get engaged into that? For this will be the audience is very broad. It can include all types of customers, employees, investors, public. So it could be any type of stories around the founding story of the companies, but also narratives of the company's long-term goals and aspirations, and really stories around the company's impact on society or on the environment. Then the what is a little bit more specific, right? So it is kind of like deep downing a little bit more on your milestones and achievements, potentially case studies and success stories. So it goes down to the project level or customer solutions of providing stories for that. You can also do a story on new product launches or specific business expansions, and the narrative goes more about strategic partnerships and collaborations. And then the how would be really more on the focus on the day-to-day operations, the specific products or services, the daily interactions. So in there you can think about stories like customer testimonials, but detailed product demos, or also kind of like behind the scenes, as you always also see that on social media. So these are a few examples on how storytelling can look like on these 3 different levels. Yeah, once again, also for stories, you need to be aware of which kind of audience you're targeting and what is the appropriate channel. So is it social media, is it a blog and newsletter, or also in person? So that's why it's always good to have a whole repertoire of different stories ready, which you can then plug and play. Once of all, story is also a practice. Like storytelling itself is something you need to practice over and over. Some people can do it very naturally, others you need to practice more, but it's a matter of practice. That it sounds more natural, but also that you have the good examples to be used. Yeah, we put down this one quote, there are no bad stories, only bad storytellers. You can really twist nearly everything into a good story if you use the right methodology for it. And you can really see also consistently when stories being used, people are way more receptive to it. Let it be if you're a customer or if you want money, if at the end the human-to-human interaction and connection really counts. Good. Now, let's move on actually. I think the time to practice comes later, because we wanted to speak shortly about the middle part. We've talked about the beginning of have the opening with a hook, have the opening with either a story, an analogy, or a metaphor. And then the middle part is where you give really the details. Now you have gained the attention of all people in your opening. So now you can deep dive into your product, your company. So that's where in the middle you really want to focus on your product, your clients, how do you monetize, who's your team, who's your competition, what is your differentiation, your secret sauce, so to say, right? As well as your impact and your milestones of the company. Next. And then we end, so the middle is really the bigger part of your pitch. And then we do the call for action. And similar to the opening, you need to have a great way to close. So in that closing, and Deborah mentioned it at the beginning, you really need to give your ask. Like, what's your call to action? What do you want to come out of it? Is it a reference? Do you want to sit down to discuss an investment? Do you want another meeting? Are you looking for opinions? What do you want? If you don't ask, then people cannot help you. Same as with like if you're engaging with the sales teams, for example, they can easily teach you to do more sales, right? So you can also ask for references, advices, and so on. So at the very end of your pitch, you want to create a sense of urgency, and you want to leave them with a thought. To be like, this was interesting. Maybe we could do this and this. Or, oh, I wasn't aware. This is such a cool initiative. Let's talk about it, right? So here's once again a really great way of bringing in you as a human, your passion, and you as the founder, co-founder, or what you are from your management team, to communicate that you are there available to partner and to really do it now, right? So you want to have this kind of great sense of urgency. Reason being that you want these meetings now, right? You want a meeting now, you want a partnership now. You don't want this in 6 months. If you want something in 6 months, then you don't need to pitch to them. So also be mindful on when is the right ask for something. All right. And I think now we can go into the practice. Yes. And as always, we're going to share the slides always in the bootcamp group. So with this, we're going to create now breakout rooms, and we want that you pitch to your colleagues your business for 3 minutes. So the pitch at Dieko will be 3 minutes. So we want you to also pitch now and practice in 3 minutes, keeping in mind these 3 different openings, in particular the hook. So I'm checking the time. Yes, we give you 20 minutes, and then you can do turns. I'm just gonna open them now. All right, so you will receive as always, a pop-up message to please go to the meeting room. You should have received them now. So please move over. So all of you have received, please move. Yes, Adam?
Hi, Milena. In my breakout room, we are only 2 that are there, and the person is not responsive. So I don't know if you could change me a room. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, you got a new invite. right. Welcome back. I hope you had a good practice time and you met some new people, got some recommendation and tips and tricks. Feel free to share that in the chat. We want to move on now. We have a few more other tips we want to share with you, particularly on the design of the slide deck. So one important thing is you want to really use your slides to support your message, to support what your business is about. And if you put too many information into your pitch deck while presenting live, people do not listen to you anymore. So what you want to really receive is really the attention of someone. So try to balance the need for information, but not make it too crowded on your slide deck. So here quickly again, what should be included in a pitch deck? There should be an introduction, right? We spoke about the hook. What type of introduction is it? Usually you have a title slide with your name of your business, your name and the title, and make sure that everyone is also your logo. Then you want to state what has been the problem. What is the problem your company is tackling to the solution? So what is the solution your company is offering? What are the markets and market size and opportunities in that given market? And there I really want to tell you, specifically if you are in an international setting, such as now with Gecko, please make sure that you have your market size in a standard or like well-known currency. So best practice would be USD. So it would be very hard, like imagine you have someone, it could be USD or euros, but just to make it that everyone is aware, USD is a safe bet. Like let's imagine I'm from Germany, right? Maybe I'm listening to something from a Namibian company and they are using the local currency. I have no idea what this translates to my own currency. So please make sure that you use a standardized or a well-known currency so people have an idea what is the market size. Then have a slide on your product, your traction, what have you already achieved, what have been your milestones, and also what are your next steps, right? What do you want to achieve? What is very crucial, particularly if you have not been long in business yet, is your team. So make sure that you have a team slide with the different pictures of your team members and also titles. It gives you credibility, particularly also if you add information on their years of experience. Again, try to find a balance of too cramped and but don't miss out on that slide. It's really important to show that this is not a one-man or one-woman show. Then, of course, also on your competition, right? Here comes back to your secret sauce. Who else is out there having a similar product, but you're the better one, right? That's what you want to convey in that slide. You're the better one, but why? So usually often it's also a good idea to kind of like create kind of like a table and kind of like say that company has this, this, and this, but we have this, this, and that. Right? So that you can really showcase my business is better. Then the last one should be really about your ask. That depends what you want, right? In this case, we now really focus on investors. Usually you're pitching because you want to get investment. So tell them what you need and what do you need it for. And then usually to end is one good thing is to have a QR code with your contact details, particularly if you are in a conference setting and your pitch is not only for the investors or for a particular person, but rather for a bigger audience. It's a good way to end your pitch and people can still contact you. So make a QR code going to either your LinkedIn or to all your different LinkedIn emails, all your contact details. Yes, next. Once again on the slides, be also mindful on what image you want to portray, also what professionalism you want to portray. So the design actually matters quite a lot on if you're perceived as professional or like well established or not. So try to really take a focus on this. People are really visually speaking. If you're doing an in-person pitch to a bigger audience, it's even more important to have pictures, infographics, diagrams. Don't cramp only text on your slides. Again, little text, so don't do too much. You don't want to be distracted or people are distracted from your pitch. Use your brand colors and fonts, right? We spoke about branding, so be consistent in this, also in your pitch deck. Use the logos you have so that it's a really brand identity on each slide, and please do triple check your grammar. That's really a bad impression if there are any kind of like grammar or spelling mistakes. These are really simple things, but they have to happen more often than you think. And here are a few options where you can actually really leverage these tools to have very nice looking slides without having a big budget or paying someone else to make it. So Canva, I think by now everyone knows, has really amazing templates you can use. You can adjust it to your own branding, fonts, colors, all of that, and really make it very neat and nice. Of course, you can also use Google Slides, PowerPoint. There's also beautiful.ai, pitch.com, and there are a few AI tools we have given you to brainstorm on how can you improve your pitch. Now, a few examples on pitch etiquettes, which should be clear. But of course, if you have a pitch in person, it is of most important that you come on time. So rather come a little bit early, but no one will wait for you. This is really your moment to shine. If we mentioned about the first 20 seconds of importance. If you are not there, people are like, okay, bye. Right? Then also make sure that you're dressing appropriately depending on the audience. Eye contact is, as always, very important. And for online, you can see like I'm using a background. Some of you are also using a background. So this is a good way of how you can also create like visual or like brand identity, but at least make sure that we don't see what is ongoing in your room. So you can also make it neutral, blurry, whatever, but make sure that your back has a good vibe. And it can be, please make also sure always that you can test your connection, your video and audio before. So that's particularly also important for our session next week. On the pitch deck, once again, make sure it's branded, use the currency everyone knows, so USD, use a lot of visuals, not too much text, align the font and the font sizes. So this also really gives a weird impression if you use various fonts and sizes, and then of course, check the grammar and spelling. Now, on your pitch next week. The pitch will take place on the 24th or the 25th. So your group leaders will inform you on the date and the exact time. There's a whole agenda. So each of you have 3 minutes to pitch, followed by 2 minutes of questions. So it's really not a long time, but it's a standard time for a pitch for 3 minutes. And also for you to know that's the exact time amount you will have. Also, if you make it all the way to the finals, it will also be 3 minutes. We displayed here in the table when are the different regional spotlights sessions and pitches, and you will be judged always by three judges. So that is also being fair. Please prepare that practice. You need to have also the timing really under control. If you're going over time, we will cut you. On the criteria, on how we will judge the pitch itself is we really want to create like a real life scenario here, right? We don't want you to come up and we just make a mock trial out of nothing. So that's why we don't have also a template you need to use. We want really to see your real pitch decks. And that you take rather this moment also to enhance them, to adjust them, and to really make them to the best version. We're gonna judge you on the pitch itself, right? How did you deliver the pitch? How as the team you have been presented, and notice how is the pitch deck looking like? So is it a lot of text and it's really hard to follow? Has the logo been used? All of this. Then of course, key importance is of course your business model. And there we look at your solutions you have. Is it financially sustainable also? When we have. So the sustainability in that sense really looks at, is your business gonna survive? Is your revenue model, does it make sense? Do you have enough traction? Is it a business model which can scale? And that you also mentioned your investment need. Then we will also look on the impact. So there it comes really on down to the environmental impact, the social impact your businesses have. And then, of course, on the market assessment, what is your competitive advantage compared to others? What is your audience and the market fit? And once again, YECO has been someone who has been participating in YECO is someone from the management team. So it has to be a CEO, CTO, or co-founder, founder or co-founder. So if you had some replaced people who replaced you once in a while, that's fair enough. But for the pitching, we will need to have the original person present. We ask you to submit all of your pitch decks to your regional spotlight leaders. I think most of them already requested that, but it needs to be shared by Saturday latest. So that also in case there is like not good of internet connection or so on, that we can pull up the slides for you. For those regions where you feel like, oh, the internet connection has been super shaky, I would also recommend you to maybe take a video of yourself if you know you're kind of like have consistent issues the last days. So worst case, we can play that. But otherwise, the normal should be just to provide the pitch deck. Once again, it's 3 minutes. So 3 minutes is 390 words or 27 sentences. So really, you don't have any time to lose. And it's really practice, practice, practice to get this right. Here's an example on how could you structure your pitch. It's 3 minutes. We have sharing the slides as always. This is just an idea, right? You don't need to follow that by the second, but as you can see, you should really use the majority of the time in the middle. You use your strong hook. If you have a hook, you can use this also for your slide problem. Basically is also a way of how you can use your storytelling and then go into your solution, market opportunities, business model. So yeah. Before we go into that, are there already questions from your side you still have for the session next week? Otherwise, on this slide, maybe you can go further, Deborah. Thank you. We're going to ask you one question after the pitch itself, and it will be something around what investors or partners could ask. So I would also encourage you to have a look at this question list so that you can expect these are the type of questions which will come. And once again, these are also examples of real life scenarios. We really want you to prepare for existing scenarios and not come up with something totally random. Okay. Then, once again, a recap on who makes it to the accelerator. It is a combination of several factors. On, of course, the pitch, right? The one which will happening next week, but not only. It is also that you file or submitted our survey, which we're going to share with you after the last masterclass, which will ask you questions on the program itself, the impact, and so on. The e-learning course, which we already did, the investment readiness course, but also the attendance that you have participating or reviewed the videos and so on. We have also asked our regional spotlight leaders to award kind of like some cherries or stars to the best performers in your group to get also a feeling of how engaged you have been. And lastly, as a reminder, we can only let people go to the accelerator stage for businesses which are registered in developing countries. If your your nationality doesn't matter, it's more where is the business operating. If you feel like you need to change something there and you have maybe applied with a different business license, then let us know and we can also adjust that. Okay, I think let me see if there are any questions from your end. Let me see in the chat. What is considered appropriate dressing considering cultural differences? Yes, so in our case, it's an online session, but I mean like more if you go to conferences and it's a very like formal conference, everyone wears suits, then you shouldn't come up with like jeans and a hoodie, right? Well, if you're in a tech conference, the dress code could be a little bit more lenient and you could go with smart casual. So be a bit smart in that regard. Will there be questions from the evaluation panel? Yes. So one question, most likely 1 to 2 questions, depending on the time. So be prepared also to receive some follow-up questions. Okay. What is the difference between this pitch and the one we provided when we applied for the YECO program? Maybe Danielle, you want to elaborate what you mean? Because the only pitch which has provided was for the fast track people where people recorded their videos, but otherwise there hasn't been, except the pitch deck, there hasn't been any pitches conducted. Okay. Surprisingly, no questions. Great. Then let's go to the nearly last slide. Just to have you already on board on the accelerated timeline. So you can block some dates there. For those who make it, we kick off on the 3rd of December. Everyone, please join our final bootcamp event on the 28th of November, because then that's also when you will get to know who has been accepted to the accelerator stage. So this will be coming up live. Then the masterclasses will move from Wednesdays and Fridays to Tuesdays and Thursdays to also accommodate like some challenges depending on the time zones for Fridays. And we will have a holiday break from the 22nd of December to the 6th of January. And then we will kick off or continue on the 6th of January. The detailed agenda will be shared with all of the accelerator people, but though I wanted to already give you a heads up so you could keep, if you're chosen, these dates free. Yes. Chloe.
Thank you, Milena. So I want to just ask about the ask slide on the pitch deck, just because we're obviously pitching to, I know we're trying to mimic a real scenario. Sorry, I didn't realize my camera was off, sorry. I know we're trying to mimic a real scenario. So would we put in like an investor ask, as in like
Yeah, good question.
$100,000 or something,
Yeah.
or just for the accelerator? Yeah.
No, perfect. No, assume as if we would be investors and do
Okay.
your investment ask really regarding as if you could get all that money from us. The reason being
Okay.
two options. First of all, we want to really focus you to give you investors, right? So you practice also that you have a clear investment ask. But secondly, also because the more and more we go into the Yeku journey, we also want to matchmake you with investors. So reason being, if we have all your slides and also the correct data on your investment ask, that also helps us and helps you consequently and connect you with the right people later on in the line. Good question. Thanks, Chloe.
Thank you very. Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? I'm going through the chat. So on the Yeku workbook, no. So the Yeku workbook is really for yourself to have a best like learning experience, to reflect by yourself and use this also to improve over time. We don't assess the work, how much you have used it. It is a voluntary good practice, but nothing we actually checking. On where will be the accelerator stage be hosted? The accelerator is still an online program. So we will still meet online, so hosted by Zoom. And then for the finals, we will meet in person. And of course, with all the different events where we try to plug you in, and also just saying that those ones who don't make it further, we will still call you alumni of the Yeku program and have also some exciting opportunities for you. But more of that on detail also next on Friday. Okay, Moses.
Thank you, Milena. Just curious on one item you said, I think on the slides, for an entity to proceed to accelerator stage, it has to be registered in the local country. So I wanted to find out, like, how do you be able to measure this? Or are we going to be asked to submit registration documents, or we'll be checking online?
So normally we already did this. So unless we made a mistake, all of you are registered businesses, because what we ask you in the application is to upload your business certificate. What I'm saying is that some of you have dual nationalities and maybe also companies in various countries. And if you have submitted the one which is in a non-developing country, let's say you have, a branch in Germany and a branch in Tanzania, then you would need to show us the one in Tanzania. Otherwise, you will not be eligible to move on to the accelerator stage. Okay, perfect. Good. Then I think we are also at 2 minutes. So let's take our picture. And I think then we have a last few logistics. And then we can wrap up on time.
Guys, let's just do that one more time. Thank you. Okay, awesome. Thank you.
All right, I have 1 minute left, so let's go on the last logistic slides. A reminder, on Friday, we have our last content masterclass on ESG, on impact measurement. I think this will be a really important one for all of you from EY. Then we have, again, also a reminder on the coffee chats. Let's go. On the timeline, we will send you the survey for the bootcamp itself out on Friday, and it needs to be completed by Tuesday, 25th, so that we have all the data available. We will share that again via email. This is a compulsory survey to fill out for us so that you can be accepted in the accelerator. And then the closing event is on Friday next week, 28th, where the winners will be announced. Or not the winners, but those ones who move on to the accelerator. Yeah, otherwise, have a good remaining week. Please also continue to give us feedback as usual, and I wish you an amazing rest of the day. Bye. And someone loves your hairstyle, Chloe. Bye.